Trustees, we are here to set goals and policies and oversee the management of the district. We are responsible for approving budgets, contracts, personnel appointments, and to listen to the reports from the superintendent. We are not here to make administrative or management decisions pertaining to the daily operations of the district. This is the responsibility of the superintendent. In compliance with the State Government Code on Open Meetings, tonight's agenda has been appropriately posted. This is a meeting in public, not a meeting of the public. And as our guests, you're welcome to observe and listen. These proceedings are being video and audio recorded and will become part of Jetson's permanent legal record. In order that the tape adequately reflects these proceedings, please silence your mobile devices and refrain from talking while others are speaking. Since it is legally mandated that these proceedings are recorded accurately, I may have to ask for order periodically should I notice these disruptions are interfering with our recording capabilities. Once again, I extend to each of you a sincere welcome from the entire school board. We have established a quorum, and again, I will call roll. Ms. King?
Shatanya King, present.
Ms. Eaton?
Deborah Eaton, present.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Jennifer Rodriguez, present.
Ms. Canoyer?
Suzanne Canoyer, present.
Mr. Macias?
Present.
I am Renee Pichelle, present, and to my immediate left, we have our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Jeanette Ball.
Welcome.
At this time, ladies and gentlemen, will you please stand for our pledges, roll call, and invocation?
Tonight's color guard is being presented by the Wagner High School JROTC under the direction of retired Sergeant First Class Wayne Harper. The cadets presenting the colors are United States Flag Color Guard Commander Cadet Captain Angelica Cruz Jara, Texas Flag Cadet Captain Miranda Uribe. The guards for tonight are United States Guard Cadet Major Abdiel Roque and Texas Guard Cadet Captain Angel Salazar. Our pledge leader this evening comes from Escondido Elementary School, Miss Amari Guajardo. Amari is a fourth grade student at Escondido Elementary. She loves riding her bike and dancing with her sister Anaya. Amari has an infectious personality. She is very caring and nurturing. She has many friends and loves learning. She is a member of the Lion News Crew and is looking forward to joining Escondido's Karate Club. Thank you, Amari, for leading our pledges.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Order, arms. Center, face. Pose. Color guard, hold. Ready, step. Ready,
Thank you. If we could just take a few moments to get some pictures with our pledge leader, and we can invite our JROTC to come back. We have our parents of Miss Amari and her sister here in the audience. If we could give them a round of applause. And here come our JROTC students as well. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You may be seated.
Please remain standing for the invocation.
If we could all bow our heads, please, for a quick prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we would ask that you would be with us this evening, God, as we conduct the business of Jetson ISD. I would ask that you bless all the people represented on the board this evening, God, and thank them. We thank them for their time and talents that they dedicate to this district. All these things we ask and pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. And you
Please
may be
be seated.
seated.
Yes.
Hello again. We do have some recognitions this evening. These recognitions come from Jetson High School. We are excited to recognize an outstanding group of individuals who are very active members of the Future Farmers of America program at Jetson High School, led by Ms. Sandra Losi. A few of them have recently participated in the National FFA Agriscience Fair. The National FFA Agriscience Fair recognizes students who gain real-world, hands-on experiences in agricultural enterprises. Students use scientific principles and emerging technologies to solve complex problems related to agriculture, food, and natural resources. The Agriscience Fair is for middle and high school students, and participation begins at the local level and progresses to state and national levels. I would like to recognize one of our FFA members, Vanessa Bell. She is not only a state champion science fair winner for this Agriscience Fair, she is also a top 10 national finalist who will be competing tomorrow for a national title. Congratulations, Ms. Vanessa. I would also like to recognize who is not here this evening, but she is also a state champion for the FFA Science Fair, Selma Aguilar. The FFA also has a degree system. They recognize students for different levels of commitment and involvement in the organization. There are 5 degrees of membership for the FFA, and a few of our students were awarded top recognitions. Let me talk to you just a little bit about the Lone Star degree. The Lone Star degree is the highest degree of membership that the State FFA Association can award. Members that receive a Lone Star degree have been working on this their whole high school career. They are active FFA members, and they compete at least 4 semesters of agricultural science or above. They maintain a supervised agricultural experience program, invest significant time and money in their SAE. They demonstrate their leadership skills and show a commitment to the FFA through involvement at the chapter level and above. Again, this is the highest degree of membership that the State FFA Association can award, and we have all 3 of these young FFA students, Miss Autumn Turpin, Mr. Austin Wolf, and Ms. Vanessa Bell have all earned Lone Star degrees. Congratulations. We also have another student from Jetson High School, Chaz Smith, who earned this degree, who is not able to be here tonight. And one more recognition, 2 students that were not able to be here tonight, but also need to be recognized for the American degree. The American degree is the highest degree achievable in the national level of the FFA. 2 of our Jetson High School students earned that degree, Hannah Berry and Dylan Cole. So we would like to congratulate these young scholars for all of the work and the commitment that they do. I know some of their parents are out here, so we could give them a round of applause and also recognize their teacher, Ms. Sandra Losi, there she is. Congratulations.
Congratulations, all of you. At this time, we are going to move an item from our discussion items reports to number 3.
Ms. Bischoff,
Yes, sir.
if I may interrupt, I just wanted to recognize Trustee very well. Forgive me. Proceed. Forgive me.
I would like to introduce to you Mr. Bobby Blount, who is the NISD board member. He has been for 22 years. He is the president of our Bexar County School Board Coalition and the president of the Go Public campaign. We are pleased to present our school board colleague with an update on Bexar County School Board Coalition. Mr. Bobby Blount, thank you for being here.
Well, thank you all. Thank you. I really appreciate that. It's great to be here. For those who know, every couple of years, I try to come out and give an update on our Bexar County School Board Coalition and also our Go Public campaign. I'll be very brief. I know you have a very busy agenda, but I'm trying to hit all 20 independent school districts in the last 3 months. So it's been, I know, it's been interesting. Well, first of all, for those who are not aware, and I know you all have been very active with the Bexar County School Board Coalition, but for some of our new members, the Bexar County School Board Coalition was established in 2006. And the primary purpose was to provide a forum for a board of trustees in Bexar County to be able to collaborate together, to be able to work together, and to really take advantage of opportunities that we have in common. What we have done through the years, so, has been really very, very effective. And it's sort of been a model not only for Texas, but others on how school districts, board of trustees can work together. We know our superintendents have their groups that work together, and so some others. So having board of trustees do that has really been fabulous. We did incorporate, so it's actually a 501c3. So it is a not-for-profit corporation. The only membership are board of trustee members from the 20 independent school districts, partially or wholly in Bexar County. Just to give you a quick update of the last year has been extremely busy. Just to give you 3 different areas that have been a big focus. The first one has been, we have been a representative for our particular region on some of the challenges that we have faced that really get to some of the local control type of issues. So we have, especially during the COVID situation that we faced, with our letters that we sent out on what we really thought was best for all kids, we did as a region. We're the only one region other than TASB that was able to do that for the school boards, and the other regions are very appreciative of that. The other major element that we've done, and very pleased to see the Go Public sign up there. Go Public actually falls under the Bexar County School Board Coalition. The Go Public is a campaign. It's not a separate entity. However, the success of it is very dependent on not only the trustees, but the superintendents. And that's where I want to thank your superintendent. She's been on the steering committee for, Dr. Ball, you've been for about 3 or 4 or 5 years, or longer than that, right? Been a lot of, it's memorable. But I want to thank her. And the reason I want to bring up is the advocacy of Go Public, as you all know, has not only been important when we established it, but is real critical now. Initially, it started out the success with outdoor type campaigns, with our bus ads, with the billboard advertisements, with the banners and other things that we've had. The last couple of years has really been a focus on social media. It really has. So we have social media consultants that really know how to fight that battle to make it effective, not only for the Go Public campaign, for all our districts, how you really get that Google algorithm figured out. What we asked this next year is to be more grassroots, and that's where you all come in. We want to be out there more, not only supporting our community and teachers and others, but to really make it personal. So that when Go Public established in Jetson, we're talking to your community. So that's what our real focus is. And if you have ideas to be able to support that, please let us know. The last activity I'll bring up that hopefully each one of you are proud, we've completed our book. So for those who don't know, the Bexar County School Board Coalition wrote book number 2. And book number 2 is Public Education in the San Antonio area. We wrote book number 1 about 10 years ago, and the particular focus of that was to be a reference guide, a factual guide of what was really occurring within our school districts. And it was well received. I mean, the library, it was publicized quite a few places as a true factual guide. Book number 2 is really, to be honest, meant to be more of a marketing type guide. What it actually does is it starts out with every single district has a section where they talk about what their successes are, what their big programs are. So that's described. It also includes within it, it talks about what happened during COVID-19, the first 60 days. Because you all know all too well, but a lot of the public just is starting to understand how much school districts provide in terms of food service, to the mental health and other things. But that turnaround in 60 days is truly amazing, so we captured that as part of the book. Talks about also the Go Public campaign itself. And the last one is it presents a whole picture of our 20 ISDs in terms of the data and factual information. So it's available on Amazon, so in other places, and out in my car if you want to meet me later. But hopefully you all got your copy. But that's something we're very, very proud of also. So that's our Bexar County School Board Coalition. One other aspect is just another example of how we collaborate on, hopefully you got the notice on Monday. We've been asked by Texas 2036 to meet with them. They want to meet with some board of trustees, and they thought we'd be the ideal ones. You may, Dr. Margaret Spellings is really the chief operator for that, so we're looking forward to having a discussion with them, and that's open to everybody. So that's something else we try to do is when others want to get a viewpoint from the trustees, we do that part too. So that's my report, and I really appreciate the time and for your
Thank you so much, Mr. Blount. Is there anybody that would like to ask him anything or make a comment? Thank you so much. Thank you for being here.
Okay, thank you all. And I learned some things I'm going to take back to my board. Y'all do some pretty interesting things. So you all take care. Thanks again.
Thank you. Good night. We will resume with item 4, consideration of consent items. And board, if there are any items that you'd like to have pulled, just let me know. Item A, 4A, consider and take action regarding approving minutes from the special board meetings that were held July 19th, August 12th, and the regular board meeting held August 19th, 2021. Consider and take action regarding approving expenditure equal to or greater than $50,000. Item 4C, consider and take action regarding approving monthly financial information as of July 31st, 2021. 4D, consider and take action regarding approving budget transfers across expenditure function categories. 4E, consider and take action regarding approving the submission of the 2021 appraisal roll as certified by the Bear Appraisal District for the Jetson ISD. Item 4, consider and take action regarding approving a resolution declaring Bear County 4-H as an extracurricular activity and Bear County 4-H extension staff adjunct faculty status. Item 4G, consider and take action regarding approving a proclamation declaring October Family and Community Engagement Month. Item 4H, consider and take possible action regarding approval of a proclamation declaring October the 2nd, 2021 as Custodial Appreciation Day. Item 4I, consider and take action regarding approving the proclamation declaring September the 24th, 2021, the last Friday in September, as American Indian Heritage Day.
Can you pull that one for me, please?
Pull.
Thank you.
Item 4J, consider and take action regarding approving the proclamation declaring September the 15th, 2021 through October the 15th, 2021 as National Hispanic Heritage Month. Item 4K, consider and take possible action regarding the approval of a proclamation declaring October the 18th through the 22nd, 2021 as National School Bus Driver Appreciation and Bus Safety Week. Item 4L, consider and take action approving the resolution declaring October the 8th, 2021 as Human Resources Day. Item 4M, consider and take action regarding approving the interlocal agreement between the City of San Antonio on behalf of the San Antonio Metro Health District and the Jetson Independent School District within its boundaries. Item 4N, consider and take action regarding approving the certified list of appraisers for the 2021-2022 school year. Item 4O, consider and take action regarding approving the waiver of penalty and interest on the property tax payments. Item 4P, consider and take action regarding approving the submission of the 2021 no new revenue and the voter approval tax rates for the Jetson Independent School District. Item 4Q, consider and take action regarding approving the school district teaching permit, SDTP, for non-core academic career and technical education. Item 4R, consider and take action regarding approving the adoption of the 2021 tax rate for Jetson Independent School District. Item 4S, consider and take action regarding approving the instructional material allotment, purchase of secondary health instructional materials recommended by JISD secondary health teachers for 2021-2022. Item 4T, consider and take action regarding approving the submittal of the request for proposal 2202 for high-impact tutoring. Is there a motion for items 4A through H, J through O, and S?
Motion
Motion to approve.
to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
The motion has been moved and seconded. What say you, Mr. Diaz?
Rafael Diaz, aye.
Mr. Macias?
Yes.
Ms. Canoyer?
Suzanne Canoyer, aye.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Jennifer Rodriguez, aye.
Ms. Eaton?
Deborah Eaton, aye.
And Ms. King?
Shatanya King, aye.
Renee Pichelle, aye. Motion passes unanimously. We will go back now to those pulled items, and we'll start with item I. Consider and take action regarding approving the proclamation on September the 24th. Ms. Eaton, that was you.
Yes, yes, ma'am. And Dr. Ball, I'm just trying to get a little clarity on something. Year before last, that sounds so weird. I remember we went into some in-depth discussion about this issue, and I'm just curious because in '86, President Reagan made November 23rd to the 30th American Indian Heritage Week, and then we know that November is the celebration of American Indian Heritage for the month of November. And so what's the reason why we're doing just a day in October or September? Because I thought when I just need the clarification.
No, ma'am, you're
when we discussed it year before last.
You're right, ma'am. You're absolutely right. It was discussed last year, and what we have looked and researched at and talked to our social studies specialists, that this is the correct day to celebrate that day. So we left it alone last year also. We did discuss it, but we left it the same. So we were leaving it the same again this year.
So in November, there won't be any type of celebration for...
I can't say that there won't be any. This will be our official day. that we're doing it, but I can't say that there won't be any.
In September.
But I know that this will be our official day.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Ball,
Yes, ma'am.
in our board backup, it talks about this is the last day and Friday is recognized as American Indian Heritage Day by Texas statute.
Thank you, ma'am.
I was simply asking for clarification because I remember we discussed this in depth before.
Yes, ma'am.
That's all.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Ball.
You're welcome.
All right, then. Is there a motion for this item?
I move we approve item J.
It's item I.
And is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We'll start with you, Ms. King. Ms. King, what say you?
Shatanya King, aye.
Ms. Eaton?
Are we voting on I or J?
On aye, ma'am.
I misspoke. It's item I.
On, Ms. Eaton, what say
I
you?
abstain.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Jennifer Rodriguez, aye.
Ms. Canoyer?
Suzanne Canoyer, aye.
Mr. Macias?
Yes.
Mr. Diaz?
Rafael Diaz, aye.
Renee Pichelle, aye. Motion passes with one abstention. 6-1-1. Item 4R, consider and take action regarding approving the adoption of the 2021 tax rate for Jetson Independent School District. And Mr. Macias, I believe that you pulled this, sir?
Yes, thank you. And nothing too crazy to cover on this, at least from my perspective, but just simply letting the community know that this is a decrease year over year, I think is pretty profound. We don't find ourselves in that position very often. But Dr. Ball, do you know of any other instances where we've seen a decrease? Was there one last year?
Yes, sir.
So this is 2 years in a row. I wasn't here last year, so.
Right. No problem.
But this is kind of neat, but it doesn't impact, since the property values increase, it doesn't truly impact our budget, or what are your thoughts on that?
I could ask Mr. Atkins to talk more about that.
Appreciate that.
As the values increase, we compress our tax rate under House Bill 3. So we raise roughly a little more money every year, but not much. And so we estimated our budget this year on $11.2 billion for the value, and when you look at the roll we certified tonight was $11.263 billion. So pretty close to where we were supposed to be with our budget.
I suspected if we had issues, you would have pointed them out quite quickly. So that's kind of neat just to get that confirmation. And since you're here, if there's ever a need, a fiscal need to raise more revenue, do we have that flexibility to go back to increase the tax rate in the next year? I assume yes, but I just want to confirm.
On the M&O side, we would have to do a TRE, tax ratification election.
Okay.
And of course, on the INS side, it's based upon what our debt payments are each year.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Is there a motion for that item, please?
I move that we adopt the 2021 tax rate for.
Thank you, sir. And is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Mr. Diaz, what say you?
Rafael Diaz, aye.
Mr. Macias?
Yes.
Ms. Canoyer?
Suzanne Canoyer, aye.
Yes. And Ms. Rodriguez?
Jennifer Rodriguez, aye.
Ms. King?
Shatanya King, aye.
And Ms. Eaton?
Deborah Eaton, aye.
Motion passes unanimous. Oh, excuse me, Renee Pichelle, aye. Now it's unanimous. And item 4T, consider and take action regarding approving the submittal for the request for proposal 2022-02 for high-impact tutoring. And Mr. Macias, this too was yours.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this. And Dr. Ball, this item essentially looks at high-impact tutoring, bringing in a few partners to offer tutoring to our students. I would imagine it's a K through 12 or
Yes, sir. So, I didn't mean to interrupt if you were going to.
Go ahead.
So one of the things that we are looking at is different ways as to how to support our teachers. So I think we all know that our teachers do a tremendous amount of the lift and do the tutoring, but in an effort to make sure that we are closing the gaps as quickly as possible, providing resources for our teachers to truly have even smaller groups. So our teachers are still going to be given the opportunities to tutor if they wish, but also be able to bring outside strategies and innovation that we would partner with other organizations to be able to help our students, not only by having smaller groups, but using different methods and using different strategies in an effort to close that achievement gap.
So that sounds fantastic. So I did hear you say that teachers will also be given the opportunity to participate in this process.
Yes, sir.
And okay, great. No, I think this is fantastic. And I guess the measurement, I guess, in terms of what you would be looking at in terms of year over year, will it be STAR test primarily, or will there be other benchmarks?
It'll definitely be the STAR test, and end of the year test, but it'll also be things such as comparing the beginning of the year assessment, middle of the year, end of the year, our locally developed benchmarks, unit assessments. So throughout the year, gauging the progress of that being effective.
And I got one last question. Would this be during the class time or after?
Could be either or.
So
It could be
flexibility on both?
Yes, it could be during the class time, after school, before school, and we also hope to be doing some Saturdays also.
All right, I appreciate that clarity. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would just like to add one thing in support of this, Mr. Macias. It's a good thing that we have this list because during the day, teachers would not be able to. And so if we have a list of vendors that could do this, they could pull students out during the day when teachers can't. And this is just another way, you know, we were talking about how we can close that gap. This definitely is a measure to do that.
No, I applaud this effort. I'm hopeful that we can see that turnaround. So I move that we accept the request for proposal for 22.
Thank you. But right before we do that, Ms. Canoia, you want to say something?
Oh,
Yes, please. Dr. Ball, I know that the legislature and the commissioner were talking about guidelines to limit the number of students who can be in these small groups, and I'm not sure how that ended up. Did that end up with the maximum 3 to 5 students, or are we still at 5 to 7?
No, it's 3 to 5, so that is one of the reasons why we have to do this in order to also make our groups even smaller.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And now, Mr. Macias, you want to make that motion?
Can I add one more thing?
Go ahead.
And of course, we've talked about how we're going to use our ESSER funds.
Oh, yeah.
So this is one of the other items that we would be using our ESSER funds for.
Okay.
So I do move that we approve the submitted RFP for this Hvac in tutoring.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
The motion has been made and seconded. What say you, Ms. King?
Shatanya King, aye.
Ms. Eaton?
Deborah Eaton, aye.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Jennifer Rodriguez, aye.
Ms. Canoyer?
Suzanne Canoyer, aye.
Mr. Macias?
Yes.
Mr. Diaz?
Rafael Diaz, aye.
Renee Fischel, aye. Motion passes unanimously. Item 5, discussion and consideration of action items. 5A, consider and take action regarding approving revisions of the purchasing bid limit procedures. Dr. Ball?
Yes, ma'am. One of the things that we always want to make sure is that we're in compliance with the federal procurement guidelines. So in reviewing the federal procurement guidelines, we'd like to make some changes. So at this time, we are asking the board to approve this so we are able to stay within alignment of the federal procedure guidelines. They're listed on page 2 of the document, and this is what we're asking of the board.
Does anyone have any questions? I see Mr. McQuaid is here. Mr. Macias?
Yes, thank you. So Dr. Ball, are all of the listed 1, 2, 3, 5 items plus ABC all new? Are they current, or what's being added here?
McQuaid.
Would you like to specifically talk about those? Sorry, my mic went off. Sorry. Would you like to talk about those?
Mr. Macias, may I ask you to repeat your question? I'm getting a little old and my hearing is getting a little shot and I'm too vain to get hearing aids yet. So.
No, not at all an issue. The document that was attached in our backup,
Yes,
of those items, are they all new procurement recommendations coming from national, or just some of them? If you could kind of expand on that.
If you look at item A and B, those would be new. And item C, really anything over 50,000, we're going to go out for bid and use the appropriate bidding method for, based on whether the product or service that we're buying. Of course, construction would be different when you're using a request for competitive sealed proposal instead of a request for proposal. But we are raising really the limits on A and B.
And what were those limits prior?
A would have been 3,500, would be, well, from 0 to 3,500 or 34,999.99, and B would have been the 3,500 to the 10,000.
I don't have any other questions. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, thanks, sir.
Anyone else? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve item 5A.
And I will second that. Motion has been made and seconded. Mr. Diaz?
Rafael Diaz, aye.
Mr. Macias?
Yes.
Ms. Canoyer?
Suzanne Canoyer, aye.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Jennifer Rodriguez, aye.
Ms. Eaton?
Deborah Eaton, aye.
And Ms. King?
Shatanya King, aye.
Renee Pichelle, aye. Motion passes. 5B, consider and take action regarding approving the lease agreement made and entered into by Bexar County Hospital District, University Health, and the Jetson Independent School District. Dr. Ball?
Yes, ma'am. This one is very exciting for our district. One of the things that the board has charged me with is to make sure that we look at the whole child. And one of the things that we want to do is, in looking at the whole child, in order for us to close achievement gaps, we have to make sure that our kids are coming to school healthy. They need to sometimes see doctors. So we would be entering into a partnership with the university health system to actually have it here on our district property, where it would allow parents to have the convenience, the flexibility to go and take their child to seek medical help easily and readily available to them, ultimately so they don't have to miss a lot of school. So it would be located, of course it's not purchased yet, we're waiting for this MOU to be approved. Once it is, we would then be purchasing a portable that would be housed in the Wagner, in the Wagner area. That is one of the areas that is a high of need. So we would house it there and then be able to provide this service for our students.
Yes, Ms. Canoyer.
I'm very excited about this, Dr. Ball. I know that so many of our students do miss a whole day of school when they might need to go to a doctor, and this gives an opportunity perhaps for them to miss maybe an hour instead. And it's definitely, in the last 18 months, we've discovered how important making sure that our health is. When we discussed this before, we talked about having opportunities for parents to engage in other types of classes other than just medical care for the child. So we're looking at dentistry and perhaps parenting classes. Yes. And mental health experts coming to work with kids and families.
Right. So this MOU is specifically for the health services that they would provide. What we're also looking at is how do we provide those same all those wraparound services that Jetson ISD would be able to provide for the students, and families, I should say.
Great, thank you. I'm looking forward to seeing all that come to fruition.
Thank you, me too.
I would like to make a motion that for this lease agreement. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Mr. Diaz?
Rafael Diaz, aye.
Mr. Macias?
Yes.
Ms. Canoyer?
Suzanne Canoyer, aye.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Jennifer Rodriguez, aye.
Ms. Eaton?
Deborah Eaton, aye.
Ms. King?
Shatanya King, aye.
Renee Pichelle, aye. Motion passes unanimously. Item 5C, consider and take possible action regarding approval of Yubikey multi-factor authentication. Dr. Ball?
Yes, ma'am, thank you. I had given the board a little heads up about this because this is something that goes along with a needed product, or I should say software, in order to make sure that all our technology systems continue to be very safe and secure. So it's another component and layer to make sure that we would never have another intrusion or hacking or malware attack, so that this piece of software would allow us to be able to make our systems even more secure.
Any questions, comments? Is there a motion?
I move we approve the purchase of Yubikeys for district personnel.
And I will second it. Mr. Diaz?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't think you heard me, sorry.
And your vote would be?
Aye.
Mr. Macias?
Yes.
Ms. Canoyer?
Suzanne Canoyer, aye.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Jennifer Rodriguez, aye.
Ms. Eaton?
Deborah Eaton, aye.
Ms. King?
Shatanya King, aye.
Renee Fischel, aye. Motion passes unanimously. Item 4D, consider and take possible action regarding the approval of the ENA Smart Voice cloud-based voice over IP solution. Dr. Ball?
Yes, ma'am. This is very exciting because one of the things that I have heard over and over from teachers is that they many times have to use their personal phones to make phone calls, or go into an office or in a teacher's lounge and wait a while for them to be able to use a phone call. And as we're asking more and more of our teachers, it would be a convenience to be able to provide each one of our teachers a phone in their classroom that they could use to immediately call out to parents and have that access. So that is what this item would be able to do for us.
Okay. Any discussion? Everything old is new. I remember in the old days. Remember, Miss McKinney, when we used to have phones in the classroom? Okay.
Not in Jetson. I don't think so. I don't ever remember of phones in the classroom in Jetson.
Okay, then it must have been the other district where I was. Well, we had phones. All right, is there a motion for this item?
I move that we approve this item.
And a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. What say you, Ms. King?
Shatanya King, aye.
Ms. Eaton?
Deborah Eaton, aye.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Jennifer Rodriguez, aye.
Ms. Canoyer?
Suzanne Canoyer, aye.
Mr. Macias?
Yes.
Mr. Diaz?
Rafael Diaz, aye.
And Renee Pichelle, aye. Motion passes unanimously. Item 5E, consider and take possible action regarding approving the selection of a delegate and an alternate delegate for the 2021 TASB Delegate Assembly. Dr. Ball?
Yes, ma'am. So as all of you know, next week we have the TASB conference. So this is the time to select which board member would like to represent Jetson ISD as the delegate, or also the
alternate.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes.
Would anybody like to volunteer?
I'll volunteer to be the delegate.
You'll volunteer to be the delegate. Okay, thank you. Rafa Diaz for delegate. And what about the alternative, the alternate? I've done it before. I'm willing to allow anybody else that would like to be it.
I'll be the alternate delegate.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Macias. So we are going to vote on the two delegates being, the delegate being Mr. Diaz and the alternate Mr. Macias. Is there a motion for that?
I move we appoint Rafa Diaz as our delegate and Mr. Jose Macias as our alternate.
I second that. We'll start the voting with you, Ms. King. Ms. King?
Shatanya King, aye.
Ms. Eaton?
Deborah Eaton, aye.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Jennifer Rodriguez, aye.
Ms. Canoyer?
Suzanne Canoyer, aye.
Mr. Macias?
Yes.
Mr. Diaz?
Rafael Diaz, aye.
Renee Pichelle? Aye. Motion passes unanimously, and thank you both. Item F, we will reserve for closed session. And I made a huge mistake, Dr. Ball, and neglected to remember to have those proclamations read aloud. So before we move on to item 6, the first proclamation is the Family and Community Engagement Month, October being that. You have somebody to read that one?
Yes, I know a senior staff member was going to volunteer for each one of them, so.
Okay, thank you. Oh, Dr. Taganoff, thank you. Hi.
Reading the Family and Community Engagement Month proclamation. Whereas October 2021 has been designated as Family and Community Engagement Month by the Jetson Independent School District Board of Trustees. And whereas families are their children's first and most influential teachers and are critical to building a foundation on which their children will thrive, becoming lifelong learners and meaningful contributors to society. And whereas those who partner with schools and actively participate in a child's learning from preschool through college contribute to their success by helping them understand that education is the gateway to a brighter future for our children and bridging the gaps. And whereas it is the district's commitment that every student has access to an excellent education by establishing and maintaining effective communication between families, schools, and business partnerships within the community, to work together to support children's learning by becoming meaningfully involved and engaged in the learning process. And whereas the district will use school and state accountability data to continue to provide information to families and the community to make informed public education decisions and choices. Now, therefore, we, the Jetson Independent School District Board of Trustees, do hereby proclaim October 2021 as Family and Community Engagement Month in the Jetson Independent School District, and urge all to become familiar with the resources and services available within this district and to support and participate in the life of a child to nurture their creativity and individuality and enhance their productivity and achieve success. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the Great Seal of the Jetson Independent School District this 16th day of September 2021.
Thank you. And now the proclamation declaring October the 2nd as Custodial Appreciation Day.
I'll be reading the next proclamation. Custodial Appreciation Day Proclamation, Jetson Independent School District Board of Trustees. Whereas Jetson ISD realizes that our buildings represent a significant investment on the part of the public that must be kept clean and in good repair. October 2nd, 2021 has been designated as the District Custodial Appreciation Day by the Jetson Independent School District Board of Trustees. And whereas custodians are responsible for the daily care and safe operation of all facilities and buildings on a year-round basis and are often the very example of Jetson Strong. Whereas custodians are partners within our schools to take pride in ensuring that our students are provided with a clean learning environment. Our custodians care about our buildings, teachers, and most importantly, the students. They are always there to reach out with a helping hand. Their hard work, dedication, and is appreciated and noticed by staff, parents, and students alike. Whereas it's the district's commitment that every custodian is shown appreciation and thanks for all that they do for our district and students, to work together to support student learning meaningfully, involved in the preparation of the learning environment, and know that their jobs really matter. Now, therefore, I, Renee Pashaw, Board President of Jetson Independent School District, do hereby proclaim October 2nd, 2021 as Custodial Appreciation Day in Jetson Independent School District, and urge all to participate with the recognition of the custodial staff within the district and to support and participate in creative ways to thank the custodial staff at your campuses. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the Great Seal of Jetson Independent School District this 16th day of September 2021. Signed, Renee A. Pashaw, President, and Ms. Jennifer Rodriguez, Secretary.
Thank you, Dr. Fields. The next proclamation is declaring September the 24th, the last Friday in September, as American Indian Heritage Day.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Whereas September 24th, 2021 has been designated as Native American Indian Heritage Day by the Jetson Independent School District Board of Trustees, and whereas the history and culture of our great nation have been significantly influenced by Native Americans and indigenous peoples, and whereas the contributions of Native Americans have enhanced the freedom, prosperity, and greatness of America today, and whereas their customs and traditions are respected and celebrated as part of a rich legacy throughout the United States, Texas, and our community, and whereas Native American Awareness Week began in 1976 and recognition was expanded by Congress and approved by President George Bush in August 1990, designating the month of November as National American Indian Heritage Month. Now, therefore, Ms. Renee Paschal, as by virtue of the authority vested in her as School Board President of the Jetson Independent School Board of Trustees, do hereby proclaim September 24th, 2021 as the National American Indian Heritage Day in the Jetson Independent School District, and urge our community and all our citizens to observe this with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the Jetson Independent School District to be affixed the 16th day of September, the year of our Lord, 2021.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. The next proclamation is declaring September the 15th through October 15th as National Hispanic Heritage Month.
Whereas September 15th through October 15th, 2021 has been designated as National Hispanic Heritage Month by the Jetson Independent School District Board of Trustees, and whereas the history and culture of our great nation have been significantly transformed and shaped by Hispanic Americans, and the contributions of Hispanic Americans have strengthened the freedom, prosperity, and greatness of America today, as well as enhanced our bond with neighboring countries in the fight for protecting our democratic principles. And whereas their culture, customs, and traditions are respected and celebrated with acclamation throughout the United States, Texas, and our community. And whereas National Hispanic Heritage Month observation began in 1968, recognition was expanded by President Ronald Reagan and was enacted as a law by Congress on August 17, 1988. September 15 was chosen as the initial date as it serves as the anniversary of independence to many Latin American countries. Now, therefore, Renee Paschal, as by virtue of the authority vested in her as School Board President of the Jetson Independent School District Board of Trustees, do hereby proclaim September 15th through October 15, 2021 as National Hispanic Heritage Month in the Jetson Independent School District, and urge our community and all our citizens to observe this with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the Jetson Independent School District to be affixed this 16th day of September, the year of our Lord, 2021.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. The next proclamation is declaring October the 18th through the 22nd as National School Bus Driver Appreciation and Bus Safety Week.
National School Bus Driver Appreciation and Bus Safety Week proclamation for Jetson Independent School District Board of Trustees. Whereas Jetson ISD realizes that National School Bus Safety Week in October is the ideal time to reinforce bus safety rules among students and express gratitude to our bus drivers and staff for their hard work and professionalism. October 18th through the 22nd of 2021 has been designated as the District School Bus Safety and Bus Driver Appreciation Week by the Jetson Independent School District Board of Trustees. Whereas the bus drivers are responsible for working tirelessly every single day to ensure our children get to school safely, to learn important lessons, and then drop them back off at home. And whereas Bus Driver Appreciation Week is a well-deserved salute in the direction of all those men and women who dedicate their lives to helping children get to school every day while staying patient, helpful, and positive all throughout. Their hard work and dedication is appreciated and noticed by the staff, parents, and students alike. And whereas it is the district's commitment that every school bus driver is shown appreciation and thanks for all that they do for our district students in an effort to work together to support student learning and know that their jobs really matter. Now, therefore, I, Renee Pashal, Board President of Jetson Independent School District, do hereby proclaim October 18th through the 22nd as School Bus Driver and Bus Safety Week in Jetson Independent School District, and urge all to participate with the recognition of the transportation staff within the district and to support and participate in creative ways to thank the transportation staff for their at your campuses. In witness thereof, I have hereto set my hand and caused to be affixed the Great Seal of the Jetson Independent School District, this 16th day of September, signed Renee A. Pashal, President, and Jennifer Rodriguez, Secretary.
Thank you, Dr. Fields. And lastly, the resolution declaring October the 8th as Human Resources Day.
Yes, I have the pleasure of reading this one because I wanted to read it. All of these are very important, but this year specifically I wanted to read the one for human resources because I know that it has been a tough job with recruiting teachers, retaining teachers, so I take pleasure in reading this and sincerely thanking all of our HR staff. So Texas Education Human Resource Day Resolution, Jetson Independent School District Board of Trustees. Whereas the Human Resource Division is instrumental in recruiting, selecting, resourcing, and retaining quality staff in support of providing an excellent education for all our students. And whereas human resource plays a key role in fostering satisfaction and loyalty among employees by allowing professional growth and development and keeping employees informed about policies, working conditions, compensation, and benefits. And whereas human resources monitors and manages current and future workforce trends, organizational, cultural, legal, and legislative trends, and ethical and social responsibility. And whereas human resources is an important part of district leadership and is vital to the overall productivity and efficiency of the district's workforce. And whereas the human resources is a valued and respected department that sustains the district's most important asset, its people. Therefore, the Board of Trustees of Jetson ISD do hereby resolve that October the 8th, 2021 be observed as the Texas Education Human Resources Day throughout the district. The board also encourages students, staff, and parents to express their appreciation to our human resources team members for their dedication and commitment to Jetson ISD employees and students. And it would be signed by our board president, Ms. Renee Pashal, and our board secretary, Ms. Jennifer Rodriguez.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ball.
My pleasure.
We will now go on to item 6, discussion items and reports. 6A, superintendent report, bond presentation, update on the design for the new middle school, number 6, and enrollment report. Dr. Ball?
Yes, ma'am. Very proud that the team has some great information to share with everybody. We will start with Dr. Fields. We've been working on our bond presentation that we are coming up on some very important meetings that we will be having, lots of meetings within the month of October. I think that our last count was almost 40 meetings or plus more, and Dr. Fields will go over our bond presentation. That, just as a reminder, this was approved unanimously by the board in July, so just wanted to recap again, just a refresher, nothing new. The board had already approved all this, but just wanted to be able to share with the board as to what the community will soon be seeing.
While Nicole helps me get this set up, I think I'll go ahead and start. Board members, Dr. Ball, thank you for the opportunity to come up and talk about the upcoming bond election. I would tell you that the goal here is that 100% of the people, the parents, staff, community, get involved and have their voices heard in this upcoming election. First question would be asked is, what's a bond? The analogy we like to use is just like a person would go to a bank and get a loan to finance the mortgage of their home. Districts get their financing through the form of bonds to do work on construction, design, and renovations throughout the district and capital purchases. So the bond is the way that we go out and do that. How did the district determine the projects to include in the bond? If everyone remembers, under the direction of the board and Dr. Ball, back in March, we went and established the Growth and Planning Committee. We brought that committee in, comprised mostly of community members, and they did facility assessments and looked at the academic objectives for the district, and then made a recommendation to the board back in July to move forward with a bond, and that was unanimously voted on to move forward in November 2021. What's included in the bond? Here's a quick overview, but there's 3 propositions for the bond. The first one is A, school improvement, and it's for $252.3 million. Proposition B, athletics for $14.9 million, and Proposition C, technology for $35.3 million, for a total of about $302.5 million, with no tax rate increase, which is impressive because we just decreased that tax rate. So this is an overview, and it looks at 6 areas under Proposition A that we'd like to highlight, 4 areas under Proposition B, and 6 areas under Proposition C. So for the first one, and everyone should have a copy of this PowerPoint. Okay, thanks. Under Proposition A, I think it's really important to state at the beginning that every school in the district will be affected by Proposition A in terms of renovations or upgrades or improvements in some way or another. The first of which that we wanted to highlight is the HVAC, or air conditioning equipment. Everyone understands, and there's many schools in the district right now that don't have AC or air conditioning in their gyms. And in September and, well, August and September, that can become very uncomfortable. And the schools that you see listed here over to the right will be the ones that receive the HVAC or air conditioning throughout the district, which would bring about equity across the district. And then the other gyms may receive renovations or upgrades as well. Makerspace labs are a place where kids can go, primarily, usually in the library, where they can tinker with tools and materials and create, invent, explore, just learn. And we are planning to make sure that every school in the district at the elementary and middle school level receive those same makerspace labs. So over to the right, you'll see a list of schools that will receive the makerspace labs under Proposition A. I know I'm moving through these pretty quickly. If you want to stop me, feel free. Okay, guys. Next, there are new schools. As new neighborhoods pop up in Wortham Oaks and Rolling Meadows, there's a need for a middle school in the north end of the district, as well as another elementary. In addition, the transportation times that it takes to come back down to Kitty Hawk are pretty lengthy as well. The middle school would be our way to address that issue throughout the district. Transportation Department would receive new buses and replace old buses with the new ones, and they would have renovations to their district facilities. Proposition B, athletics. Under athletics, those 4 areas that we wanted to highlight is that there's an equity issue here as well. Wagner and veterans would receive the same turf fields that Jetson enjoys to practice on throughout the week. And Jetson's field would be renovated as well. And then the tracks at Wagner and Jetson would be addressed as well. If you've been over at those tracks, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And there'd be resurfacing of the track over at Rutledge. And then there'd be new tennis courts at the 2 middle schools of Kirby Middle School and Jetson Middle School. One other thing that I wanted to say about the football fields that would be turfed at all of the 3 comprehensive high schools, they would also be striped for soccer as well. So then soccer would be able to move to the main field and have their competitions there. Technology, Proposition C. Teachers have never relied as much on technology as we have today. And the need to make sure that we have one-to-one, to make sure that we can enhance or upgrade our wireless capacity for the district or increase our server capacity, the security needs with technology. All these things were brought up in the Growth and Planning Committee and are addressed in Proposition C. Some questions. How will the bond impact the tax rate? We've already said many times that the tax rate will not increase, and the tax rate just went down in this meeting. So, and that's due to really the conservative stewardship of the board and approving, paying off bonds quickly or paying off debt quickly in the district. Now, how will the bond impact residents 65 years or older? Typically, residents that are 65, if they filled out that exemption form with the Bexar County Appraisal's Office and the homestead with the Bexar County Appraisal's Office, their valuations are pretty much frozen and their tax rates don't raise. One of the things that we do need to talk about is this next slide. And because the state came up with a new standard, or they said that it's requirement now to put on every ballot, this is a property tax increase. We've said repeatedly that the tax rate won't go up. But when voters go in, this is what they will see. And as we go out and educate our voters throughout the community, we want to make sure that they know that this is going to be on there. That's not that we're going to have a tax rate increase. It's just that there's a requirement that we say this is a property tax increase. And I believe, and Bill can correct me if I'm wrong, the analogy behind that is if we did not pass a bond, then eventually you wouldn't have to pay that tax rate because you would pay off all of the debt. Right? Okay, he's shaking his head. What if the bond's not passed by the voters? And this is typically a question that's not asked or answered in an upcoming bond. All of the needs that were identified in that growth and planning meeting will still be there whether the bond's successful or not. But some of the things that we just talked about, the equity of air conditioning in the gyms throughout the district, that's still going to be there. That will not be corrected. The equity of fields at the 3 comprehensive high schools, that will still be there and not be corrected. The ability to give makerspace labs or work at addressing the academic objectives throughout the district. Some of those things we just won't be able to do without the bond being passed. So I think it's necessary to communicate that as well as we move forward. Just to recap, we said there were 3 propositions: school improvement, athletics, and technology. We said that there'd be a total of about $302.5 million. We're able to do that with no tax increase. And we would like to announce today that just recently, the mayor of Converse, Mayor Suarez, the mayor of Kirby, Mayor Aldridge, the mayor of Live Oak, Mayor Dennis, and the mayor of Selmer, Mayor Daley, all endorsed this bond going forward. So they're all in support of. When will early voting take place? It'll come from the 18th through the 29th. And we've actually requested this time. Typically on our election day, we have a lot of our facilities that we allow voting in. But we've also had a few areas that we're asking for early voting to be in this year as well for the convenience of the community. And we know that November 2nd will be election day. Those areas, and we've also added some of the convenient places that people usually go, Old Converse or Converse City Hall, and the Julia Yates Library, the one that's over there off of Jetson Road in Nacogdoches, right across the street by the what's the car wash called again? Wash Tub. And the Universal City Library as well. But we've also asked for the ERC, Performing Arts Center, Wortham Oaks, and Wagner High School. And we're just waiting to get word back on those. But we project those will be approved as well for early voting for the 18th through the 29th. Now, on Election Day, all of these areas are the typical ones that we've submitted that allow people to come in and vote on Election Day. And I guess Betty can correct me on this, but I believe this year they've allowed that just like in early voting where a person can go wherever, on Election Day you can do the same thing?
They passed that either last year or Bexar County, everywhere. Yes.
Excellent. Yes. So you won't be limited to your area in around your neighborhood. Finally, In closing, we just want to say that going forward, this bond is important to support our children, the students, the community, and our future moving forward. Any questions about any of the slides?
I have a question about something not on the slide.
Yes, ma'am.
How can board members help to get the message out to voters about this? Because I think one of the things that could go against us is turnout, right? So this is kind of an off year for elections and things. Are we doing town halls that we could participate in or anything like that with the information campaign?
Definitely, we're doing what you refer to as a town hall. Dr. Ball has gone through and scheduled faculty meetings for every campus and community meetings at every campus. And the senior staff will divide up and we'll go out and address all of those particular areas and then invite the staff and the community in on those days through bright arrow messages, text messaging, and so on. And then I would say the best thing that we could do as a staff and a community is just educate people. It sells itself. I don't want to say too much. Stop me if I go too far, Bill. But I think that if we just educate people on what we've proposed, people will want to get out and have their voices heard.
One of the things, though, that I would like to ask the board, that if you have your personal homeowners association that you could help us schedule, just let us know. And there's about 10 of us that are doing these meetings. So just let us know, and one of us will make ourselves available. It could be any type of meeting that is coming up that you would like for us to go to. I know that I've been scheduled to go to, I can't remember the exact name, the Northeast, Northeast Partnership. So I know that I will be going to that. It's in October. I do have the date in my calendar, just not in my head. But if there's any meetings that you all know of, please let us know, and we would be very happy to attend.
Can we get the schedule for the
Oh, absolutely.
community meetings and the faculty meetings? Because
Yes.
I would like to go to a couple of those.
Yes, we would love to share that with you. I won't be able to share it tomorrow in the Friday notes, because on Monday we're meeting with senior staff just to make sure that all the dates work with everybody. But right after that, we will gladly send it out to everybody.
Yes, ma'am.
So the PAC has been established?
We're working with that now.
Okay.
We've introduced it. There's
Uh-huh.
people who are interested, and I believe that there'll be a meeting on Monday.
Okay,
Right, Monday morning.
okay. So they will be the ones also who will be the face of this bond?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So there will be flyers
Yes, ma'am.
and all of that?
Yep.
Signs?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Fields. Okay, Dr. Ball, we're moving on to the update on the design of the new middle school, number 6.
Yes, so Dr. Fields alluded to this, and because this is such a huge need for us, we want to make sure that we're ready. So we have Pfluger here with us that has been working on this. I don't know if everybody, when you walked in, if you saw the board?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
So it was right outside. You see a little rendering of it. So we'll go ahead and start with it.
Hold on, I'm caught on my earring. All right. Madam President, Board of Trustees, Dr. Ball, district staff, and guests. My name is Robin Popa. I'm with Pfluger Architects. I'm a principal with the office here in San Antonio, and I am delighted and extremely pleased to be able to come to you tonight and share our schematic design of future middle school number 6 with you. So as Dr. Fields alluded to earlier, one of the initiatives in Proposition A is a new middle school, and we'll be sharing the site with Wortham Oaks Elementary. As he discussed, the need for a middle school in the northern region of the district is important for the growth that is being experienced up there right now. The excessive travel times from Wortham Oaks neighborhoods and down to Kitty Hawk are a very long and tedious travel time for those students, and so having a middle school in that area for the Wortham Oaks and Rolling Meadows populations to attend would be a great benefit for that area. So a conceptual site plan of what we're showing here. If you notice up on kind of the top, you see a snapshot of the existing parking lot from the elementary school. I'm going to try to vocalize this because I know y'all won't be able to see when I point, but up at the top there's the existing parking lot that surrounds the very large oak tree at Wortham Oaks Elementary. What we're proposing with this middle school is that the buses for the middle school would actually share the same entry route and access point with Wortham Oaks Elementary, so therefore alleviating some of the congestion that might occur on those feeder streets. Coming down off of the street that's more to the south, you'll see that we've have an entry point to the middle school for parent queuing. We've tried to shape the parking lot to promote as much on-site queuing as possible. So again, trying to be good neighborhood stewards and really lessen the impact of vehicular queuing on those feeder streets. We do have a possibility of discussing with the neighborhood about moving their access control gate further into their neighborhood. There's no reason why it couldn't move a little further south to that next intersection. So we'll just have to continue those conversations and see where that may lead. As currently shown, we have about 220 parking spaces illustrated. About 60 of those are back in the bus loop area, and the balance of the 160 approximately are up in the front. We do have several large trees that are on the site. It's actually one of the really great things about that particular site. In fact, a couple weeks ago, Dr. Ball and Mr. Atkins and Ms. Keaton, we all braved hip-high grass to kind of walk through there and make sure that these trees were actually ones that we would be proud to incorporate into the site design. And we just kind of put a little image of one of the main trees up there that will be kind of prominent up near that front entry. So certainly this area of town is really known for a lot of those large oak trees, a lot of topography, grade changes. And with those rolling hills, come very nice views, which kind of brings me to the bottom bullet point. There is a natural kind of plateau on the southeastern edge of the site that could make a very nice space for an outdoor classroom. I believe Mr. Atkins said that when you get up on that plateau, you can see all the way down to the JW Marriott. So we are really trying to make sure that we incorporate as many of the natural details and enhancements of that existing site into the site design. So when we look at the actual configuration of the school itself, one of the things that we really wanted to highlight and promote is this notion of flexibility and collaboration in educational spaces. So the yellow part at the bottom is the administration area. That is typically the front door. We want to make that entry point very prominent. It's a safety feature and a security feature that visitors who visit your campus want to instinctively and intuitively know where that front door is. As you kind of curve your way around the backward C, if you will, it is flanked with classrooms, but also has a lot of breakout space for collaboration. In today's learners are really doing a lot more project-based learning, team learning, and that sort of thing. And so really having those breakout spaces to promote collaboration is an important feature for the learners of today. Kind of focused in the middle of the educational or the academic wing in that blue shade is the Library and Media Center. What we're seeing a lot nowadays, and for any of you who were lucky enough to go on some of the tours of neighboring middle schools that we had done, open libraries are a very big concept right now, really promoting that libraries are not so much a destination, but a part of just the natural day-to-day activity of today's learners. So we really want to have that space be open, engaging, and part of the typical day of the average Jetson ISD student. Within that space, we are making accommodations and identifying specific areas for the makerspace concept that also Dr. Fields talked about in his presentation. What you'll notice is that on the first level, the building is actually broken up into two separate buildings. We have the backward C, which is that academic piece that I kind of talked about. But the other part, the bar, is really kind of the extracurriculars and the more loud functioning spaces. So you have your fine arts down at the bottom in that kind of lavender color. You have the cafeteria and dining and kitchen in the middle in that rosy pink color, and then up at the top, the athletics in the green, which, I'm going to go back just really quick, is that top kind of slanted box up at the top of the white volume. So it's got good proximity to the fields, and you'll notice the V that is cut in between those two buildings is meant to facilitate bus drop-off and pickup. So when students are coming off the bus, they are funneling into the building. They're either being held in the cafeteria space. The hope is that the courtyard, which is the natural result of having this, almost a donut kind of configuration, that courtyard is engaging and meant to be activated by the students, whether it's during the actual day, it's a point of traversing between classes, it can be a morning hangout spot before classes start, or afternoon as as students are waiting to be picked up by parents or by their bus. As we go on to the second floor, what you'll notice is that really it's the academic wing that begins to have that second occupiable level. We have the science classrooms up on that second level. There's still collaboration areas that are scattered throughout the space so that every classroom has the opportunity to have fingertip resources and convenient access to those collaboration areas. Here is also where you see the connection of that second floor over to the bar building that has the fine arts and the athletics. So really the entire school is traversable being under one roof, but the hope is that during good weather, when it's not raining or snowing now, that you are able to use that courtyard as a convenient way to get from place to place. As I learned in geometry, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. So sometimes it's right through the middle. And so this is an image of the conceptual rendering. Obviously, we still have a lot of discussions to be had about materiality, size of windows, and things of that nature. But this gives you an idea of what that volume would look like. That bridge across the top is that connection piece of the second floor, that academic wing that bridges over to the fine arts area. And really, this is a view from that parent drop-off into that main entry. That would be the administration front entry, secured vestibule, but also it's a little hard to see probably in this image. You can get a better sense of it from the poster that's in the vestibule over here, but really having a direct outdoor access into that courtyard. And with that, I will take any questions that you have.
Are there any questions? Well, Robin, I think you did a great job on your
thank you.
presentation. Thank you so much. I like looking at the rendering. Nice job.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, Robin.
Y'all have a great night.
Lastly, the enrollment report. Dr. Ball.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Lacey Gosh is going to share our numbers. One of the things that I know that the board is very interested in is what our enrollment numbers are. And I think it was last month I was also asked about pre-K numbers and those things. So Ms. Gosh is going to share that information as to where we are at. One of the things that we are constantly looking at is for the past 2 years, we've either had our pre-K3 or our pre-K4, then our pre-K3 numbers help us to make sure that we're keeping the same enrollment, but at the same time looking and disaggregating our data to see what students we are losing and what we can do to make sure that we capture our students. So I'll just turn it over to you.
Okay. Good evening. It's a pleasure to be with you tonight. I want to go over our enrollment numbers for this school year, so we will jump right in. Currently, we have 24,717 students enrolled within the district. These are numbers as of Monday of this week, so these numbers are current as of the 13th. Last year, on that same date, we had 23,531 students enrolled, so that shows a gain of almost 1,200 students from the prior year, and that is total enrolled students from pre-K3 through the 12th grade. So we want to break these numbers down just a little bit. We know that we increased our pre-K program this year to open the pre-K program to all 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds. So we want to take a look at what our actual enrollment looks like for grades K through 12. Currently, without pre-K numbers, we have 22,453. Again, this is from Monday of this week. And last year at that same time, we had 22,174 students enrolled that did not include our pre-K numbers. We did have some pre-K students last year, so these numbers are just kindergarten through 12th, which shows a total gain of student population of only 279 students. The graph that you see below shows enrollment in the first column for September the 13th of 2020 by grade levels, and showing you the total of the 22,174 compared to September 13th of 2021. I believe in the report that was submitted with your packet, there was a similar graph in here. These numbers are slightly different as the numbers do change from day to day. You can see from this, from year to year on the graph, the majority of our growth, you can see, did come from our 9th, 10th, and 11th grade, but we are losing our students from around grade 5 through grade 8 is where we see the greatest numbers of losses from the last school year. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, I should use my microphone. If I'm trying to understand like a cohort of students, so last year's kindergartners, there were 1,572. Are those kids now in the first grade column?
Some of those students are, yes, ma'am. So some of the students from kindergarten, you can't really compare apples to apples because some of those students that were in kindergarten last year, when we look at how they break down, they may have gone out of state or gone to another school. But yes, ma'am, those numbers, so it is cohort as you look forward.
But
yes.
More or less?
More or less,
Okay.
yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm seeing, and I know a lot of parents chose to keep their children out of kindergarten last year, so we're seeing like roughly 200 more students in kindergarten this year.
Yes, and parents were given the option.
First grade.
Parents were given the option this year if they wanted their child to repeat kindergarten, all they needed to do was ask.
Got
so
it.
Some of the numbers for kindergarten that you see of that 16, almost 1,700, may be students who were in kindergarten last year that asked to stay in kindergarten again this year as well.
Because the other thing that I'm looking at that is troubling me a lot, but then I'm maybe understanding why this might be, is like the 11th graders from last year moving to seniors. We've got 500 students that are not there, but that could be that they didn't earn enough credits last year to move up to be 12th graders, and so they're really captured somewhere else.
That is correct.
Okay.
The students for grades 9, 10, 11, and 12, when you're looking at a PEIMS report, has to do with the number of credits. So they could technically qualify to be in the 12th grade based on age, but if they don't have enough credits, then they would remain in the grade level by which they have the credits for. That is correct.
Got it. I got a little scared, and then I talked myself into that understanding, because I was like, did we have 500 kids drop out? But no, it's just, it's still alarming that there were that many kids who maybe didn't get enough credits to move up, but.
Yes, that is correct. We do have dropouts on here, and we will look at those numbers at the end, but you are absolutely correct about that, on the number of credits. This report here of what we're looking at, these are our levers for the entire year. So we're going to look at this in two different ways. Number one, we're going to look at levers from 9/13/2020 through 9/13/2021, but then we will also be looking at, on later slides, levers of students who were with us at the end of the school year last year and may or may not be with us in this school year. So this is for a full calendar year of where all of our students may have gone. From last year to this year, we did have 3 administrative withdrawals by students. 1,400 students went to other public schools. The 371 students that you see listed here under charter, one of the things I want to alert you is that the 371 students that are listed there are included in that 1,441 students. So the 1,441 includes 371 charter. And I want to point that out because when we break it down in later slides this year, we started coding these a little differently. I know when I did the report for you back in May, that was one of the questions that you had. was how can we see truly which students are going to charters versus other public schools, and then which students are choosing to go to another school here in Judson ISD. So we have those codes, but this is for the full calendar year, so some of those numbers are still included there. We had 227 students that went outside of the state of Texas, 37 that went to other private schools or Texas private schools, 1 GED outside of Texas, 262 students that homeschooled, 1 incarcerated. We did have close to 1,700 students that were either not enrolled or dropped out between 9/13/2020 and 9/13/2021. 5 children moved for Child Protective Services, 13 that did return to their home country, for a total of 3,686 students that are considered leavers for Judson ISD over the last calendar year. This comparison here is last year to this year, just kind of in graphic form to show total numbers by campus to see the sizes of our campus. I know we're getting ready to go into the bond issue and we're looking at total enrollment numbers. So these are the enrollment numbers that you saw on the first page broken down by campus. So this gives you a little bit better view in terms of where our losses are. So in total numbers of enrollment, we are up at all of our high schools. JECA dropped just a little bit this last year. However, the other high schools are up slightly from the numbers that they had from this same time last year. We have the same data here available for our junior high. As I indicated from the page earlier, or from the slide earlier, our junior high numbers are slightly down. Beginning even at the elementary level in 5th grade all the way through the 8th grade. This just represents each one of our programs. The JSTEM program has been fairly steady, and of course that is housed there at Judson Middle as well. And our numbers for Kitty Hawk are obviously high, as we know we are bringing students from the Wortham Oaks area over there, but one of the numbers that I don't have here is that Wortham Oaks does have some students that go to school there that are actually 6th graders. So some of the 6th graders remain at Wortham Oaks, but they may go to Kitty Hawk currently once they become a 7th grader.
Did we have 6th graders at Wortham Oaks last year?
Yes,
Also?
ma'am.
Okay.
We did. Our elementary numbers, this is Candlewood through Hartman. I know Masters is in there in the middle, just based on the alphabetical order that it comes out of the system. For this, I divided them up just to make it a little bit easier for you to see on the numbers, to see how our student population is changing. Some of the jumps that you do see in the elementary campuses are related to our pre-K numbers. We have a little over 2,200 pre-K students currently, which is much higher than what we have had in the past. And that has affected all of our elementary campuses. So here are the initial numbers for the first set of elementary campuses. And then for our second set, Millers Point through Wortham Oaks, to see the numbers that we have for those campuses in relation to prior years. So I believe this is the data that you are most interested in terms of where have our students moved to, where are they now, and why are they not with us. So I have it here in 2 different formats. This data on this slide, we're going to look at, these are the students that have left us all the way from last year to this year, so over a calendar year. I do have a report following this that is going to show you at end of year to now. So this information, it goes back to administrative withdrawals being 10, change Judson ISD schools. That one would indicate to you that we had 25 students that said they were going to go to a school of choice. That's actually not what that number is. We did not start tracking students for school of choice until the beginning of this school year. Those 25 students are actually notations that we took down of 25 students that said, I am going to unenroll from this campus and re-enroll in another campus within Judson ISD, but yet never re-enrolled. So those are 25 students that we actually lost there, that we are not sure where they are. The 66 students indicate charter students, actual charter students, that we actually coded charter students. So those are the 371 students are the students that were embedded in that 1,400 number. The 66 reflected in that number right there are the 66 students that have been flagged from the start of this school year to the 13th of September. So you'll see the other numbers when you look at enrolled in other public schools a little further down. There's 2,100 students there. That includes the other portion of those charter students that we saw on that first slide earlier. The no-show code of 76, that number, I do want to indicate, is an older code. So you have the no-show of 76, which is line 4 on that chart. If you go down towards the bottom and you see the number that says other not enrolled or dropped out of 932, it's the same reason. Basically, those no-shows at the top are unenrolled. We do not know where they are. Our counselors are working on trying to locate where those students are currently housed. What this tells us here is that last year, you'll see the enrolled number there in the middle of 17,744. This chart and that number there tells us that at the beginning of this school year, of all of the students we had enrolled with us last year, 17,744 of those students returned to us. So we did lose numbers between that, which is part of our loss here in this. Our numbers increased over the entire year, including this fall, in terms of the number of students that either returned to their home country, are in Child Protective Services, or homeschooled at 328. We did graduate 1,484 students, and we had 7 students finish their GED that were Jetson students outside of Texas, and we had 65 that enrolled in other private schools. So this is over the entire calendar year from date to date. This information here is about our no-shows. So this is probably a little bit more telling for you in terms of where our students are. At the end of each school year, we have our total enrollment, and we take those numbers and we roll that over into the upcoming school year. So every student that was enrolled with us last year, we just roll it over and say, we're going to assume that these students are going to come back to us. So we roll them over and they're enrolled with Jetson. Some of those go through the registration process, some do not. But on the first day of school, we present the rosters as if all of those students are going to be returning to us. The students that do not come back are what we consider our no-shows. Based on that information from the start of school in August until now, this is the data that we have been able to track as to where those students are. So currently, if you include all of the students in terms of a no-show, we had about 4,284 total students that did not return to us from the prior year. One of those has been an administrative withdrawal from the beginning of the school year. The changed Judson ISD schools of the 205, those are students that we have logged at the beginning of the year that chose a school of choice. We are working with Ms. Davis on the System of Great Schools, did I say that right? The System of Great Schools, and we are going to begin to break that down to see which campuses those 205 students are actually choosing to go to see if there is a particular pattern that will also work towards looking at some of our programming for that. But we did have 205 students that did a school of choice. Some of those students in that 205 for school of choice may be students from outside of Judson as well. So that does not necessarily just mean that they are unenrolled from one Judson campus and went to another. So those could potentially be some students that we are just gaining. Our no-show list, again, of 153, you need to add that 153 to the other not enrolled dropped out. So based on our no-shows, we have about 2,153 students that, no, I didn't do it. 2,183 students that did not re-enroll with us, that are dropped out, and we are not sure where they are exactly right now. That does not necessarily mean that we will have that many students show up on a dropout list, okay? Because that is for all grades. These are just students that we aren't sure where they are. We have 209 students that did not show up for us that we know are homeschooling. We have graduated 9 students since the beginning of the year. We have 1 outside of GED, 1 in a university program that we tracked, who graduated over the summer, 34 that have enrolled in a private school, 217 that have moved outside of the state of Texas, and 1,400 that are now enrolled in other public schools. Your charter numbers are inside of that 1,410 currently, and 12 that returned to their home country, just since the beginning of the year. Do you have any questions?
Any questions?
So I just
This
have
is
some,
very informative.
yeah, I just have some comments, and then, of course, anybody can ask questions if y'all have questions. So this is the data that we're looking at and we're sharing with principals, because we look at this and we want all these kids, you know, in our district. So these are the types of conversations that we started. I think our principals meeting was Tuesday. Tuesday, thank you.
It was on Tuesday.
Tuesday, to start and see, you know, why is it that people are leaving us? Is it a customer service issue? Is it a programmatic issue? Is it a convenience? It could be anything from not having the transportation, daycare. It could be lots of things, but having those conversations and seeing what is it that we could do and change to make sure that we are keeping all our students. So just wanted today, of course, to show you that this is the data that we're looking at to make sure that we're making the right changes, whether it be programmatic, customer service, offering more opportunities, transportation, after school care, because I think that's one of the biggest things that our parents need. Most of our parents work, so you need a place to leave your child there. So yes, we're both available for any questions.
Mr. Macias?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Yes, a lot of good data. And so, Dr. Ball, you did indicate then that we break down from campus to campus where all of this fits. And I guess any of the preliminary information show where the transition is from where we are to charter schools? Is there any preliminary information you can provide?
Could you tell me what you mean? I'm sorry, in regards to...
I know you haven't conducted a thorough report as to identifying what the reasons are for charter schools, if it's customer service or whatever those other factors might be. But is there any preliminary data that kind of gives some indication of what that might be?
Right. Most of them is a dissatisfaction with some type of different piece of customer service.
Okay, so, which I think is fixable.
Yes, of course.
From anything. Anyway, that's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Diaz?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Dr. Ball, thank you so much for the information. Thank you so much. This is great. So just as a reminder, more of a reflection, whenever we asked for this information last year was so we could better strategize and staff could have a strategy and a tactical approach to creating this destination district. Well, now, especially after our trainings in the past few weeks, this is going to give us a really good perspective on where we can make investments, right? So we can start capturing, obviously, you know, the information shows us that we have some loss at the middle school age or grade levels. So great information. The only thing I'll ask Dr. Ball is at some point whenever staff is ready, if we can get a briefing on systems of great schools, just to understand, you know, what's part of that and you know, what mechanisms we have available to us.
Yes, I know that Ms. Davis has been spending numerous hours on that, so she will be ready by October.
Awesome.
She's looking forward to that part.
All right, thank you so much.
I wanted to ask a question too. I would be curious, that you don't have to have an answer to this right now, but how the homeschool number compares to previous years, because I have a hunch that that has increased due to parents feeling unsafe sending their kids to school. And if we're making any efforts to reach back out to those families now that virtual learning has been approved, to see if that's an option that they would be interested in.
To be very honest, no, because we are not offering virtual learning for everybody. It is only for the ones that met the criteria. So we have not reached out to them for that. So we started virtual learning this week with the students that met the criteria, but it was not a general for everybody. You had to meet some very specific criteria, the first one truly being immunocompromised.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, we could probably get you that for the Friday notes.
Yes. I do know in doing the report that we provided for you back in May, our numbers between the non-COVID year of 2019 to 2020 into 2020-21 jumped about 200 students. It has been fairly stable over last school year to this school year in terms of the number of students, but it did drop somewhat. I believe last year there were over 300 students that were in homeschool, so it has dropped some. Some students have returned back, so that number is lower, but I will get you specific numbers on that for next week.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I did have a follow-up question. In terms of breaking it down campus by campus, do you notate if there's been a new charter? Because obviously there are charters that are coming up, and they're still coming up, and so is that kind of taken into account where we see some differential?
When we mark the charter, it is usually based on parents telling us that they are going to a charter, so we would code it as a charter. They don't necessarily always tell us exactly which charter they're going in, so we actually collect that information in the notes. So if the family provides us through the questionnaire, which our counselors are provided with those questionnaires to get the feedback about what is causing you to want to switch schools, and we can pull that information and pull that back in, and we can give you a rough idea of where they're going. Yes, but to be exact, unlike when they go to other public schools, we usually get more information about that because those requests come to us for those records. But we can certainly pull some of that information as well.
Well, obviously the curiosity is, Ben Zingelman and 1516, which is in my area, that idea public school that's there.
Mm-hmm.
And how many of them are ours, or East Central, or, from anywhere else? Just to kind of get an idea of that being incorporated in our strategy to bring students back.
I have a question, Ms. Ghosh, but it's for Mr. Macias. I just want some understanding when you ask for campus by campus, are you referring to all of this information that we got as a district to be campus by campus also?
I asked earlier if there was that data. We got the overview, which I think was very effective, but geographically, if it's the southern part of our district that we're seeing students leave, if it's the north part, where is this vacancy coming from? We got collective numbers, but I'm certain you have the data to show what campuses are being impacted.
Right,
So
and we did briefly share the enrollment for each campus, but we also do have the breakdown for each campus to have that information. So yes, so those reports are run by our PEAMS clerks that then share it with the principals that then we discuss with them. So yes, we're looking at this specifically by campus.
And when you mentioned about the principals, that's what prompted some clarity about that, so that we're looking at it. And so if, for example, since I mentioned about IDEA public schools in my district, is Converse Elementary being impacted? Looking at the enrollment numbers, it may look like it's not, but we're also now a summer program, a year-long program at Converse. Is ELOF being impacted? Is the new one Escondido? So what and where is the draw coming from? Again, just so that we can develop some strategies. IDEA is not shy about coming into our turf and saying, come to our school. So I want to know if that's an effective tactic and if we need to respond. So that's why I asked.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Item 6B, discuss teacher-student ratio and relevant strategies to support classroom instruction. Mr. Macias.
Yes, thank you. I had a couple of questions that I kind of wanted to have some discussion with you and, of course, Dr. Ball, regarding, I guess, our current situation of teacher-student ratios in our class. I'll be candid. I've had some calls from parents and some internal complaints that some of our classrooms might be larger than they would normally be because they're still, we're beginning of a new year, we're leveling, but I wanted to know what we're doing to address that.
Yes. So we started leveling about 2 weeks ago. So classes, it was right around Labor Day that we started, right before Labor Day, that we started leveling our classes, looking and seeing which teachers we had to move. We did have to move several teachers because at some campuses we did not have the enrollment, and then we had huge enrollments at other campuses, so we did have to move that. Then we also have a job fair that's coming up this coming week to still get more teachers. Ultimately, our last resort that is that if we are not able to, by next week, to hire all the teachers that are necessary, then we will have to use some of the teachers that we have for RTI to go into classrooms, because we will not allow our kids to stay with a substitute for the entire year.
And so we're seeing, I guess, more of that, because I know it's been a tough year for a lot of districts in terms of
Yes, sir.
retaining teachers. We're not unique in that respect.
Correct.
But just remind me, what is our current requirement for elementary school for student-teacher ratio? Is it 24 to
22.
1? 22 to 1.
Yes, sir.
And
Excuse me, from kinder to fourth, sorry.
from K to 4. So 22 to 1, and what is it then after, from 5th to?
And I'm going to ask my team to remind me, but I think it was 24, was it 25? Thank you, 25.
25. Okay. And then in high school, it can be 30 or 28?
It would be about between 28 and 30. But of course, please keep in mind that it's very hard sometimes for people to understand, because they think that it's just across the board, but we do have some specialty classes, some very unique situations where classes would be smaller or lower. So it's not something as black and white that they would all be the same.
And I understand. It's just sort of a parameter and in those specialized classes, but are there strategies to try to level those? Because if you give 36 students in a specialized class, that teacher may not want to come back and be a specialized teacher.
Right.
And so are there active strategies to address that?
Yes, we continue to recruit. We are continuing, like I shared earlier, to have that job fair. We keep our postings up to continue to have teachers apply. So we constantly would do that. So we're doing everything possible to retain the ones we have and get new ones when we need them.
Okay, and I guess in terms of the sub question, because I also know that from a teacher retention standpoint and recruiting teachers, we're also probably having trouble finding subs as well, I suspect. And what is our compensation right now for a sub? Is it 98 a day? Is it 121 a day?
I'm going to have to ask the staff to remind me, because I don't. 90 a day. And I do believe that was raised last year, if I remember correctly. Yes.
Yeah, I believe so too. I'm wondering if and again, I don't know the answer to this, but this is why I wanted to kind of talk about it. If strategically, because we're post-COVID now, those are some of the stressors to, I think, what's happening. Looking to have a temporary increase in our sub-pay to kind of maybe recruit some teachers. And naturally, subs, some of them want to be teachers, so we're sort of getting ahead of them and we can bring them into the district. So I don't know if that's been something to consider, but just putting it out there for consideration so that we do something in the interim to bring or make it attractive for a sub to say, I want to pick Jetson instead of Northeast or Northside or whatnot.
I'll have staff evaluate the sub-pay to see how comparable we are to some surrounding districts. And if there's something that we notice that is a discrepancy, we'll certainly bring it to the board.
And my last question I have is relating to our librarians and to our counselors.
Okay.
They have graduate degrees, not all of them, but a lot of them have masters. Is there any ability to utilize their talents to help support teachers in some capacity? I don't know, from tutoring to maybe pitching in with a class. I don't know that answer, but that's what I want to
I would definitely say that currently already our librarians and counselors are definitely pitching in to help.
Okay.
I would say that our counselors right now are working very hard, and their pitch in, if I use that word, is to take small groups, help with social emotional, help with counseling, and also not just for the students, but also for adults. And our librarians are teaching classes on a regular basis. Some of them are being part of the rotation. So I would definitely say that they are definitely pitching in and helping.
So they're already doing it sounds like.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so, and librarians fall under what category right now? Is it technology?
Technology, yes.
Okay.
We really want to refer to them as the media specialist of the campus. Yes, we really, again, like we heard earlier in regards to the makerspaces, doing creative things to support what's going on in the classroom, to enhance it, to enrich it, to provide all those extra things is what our librarians are doing to really provide that extension of the learning in the classrooms.
And I know was on the earlier agenda item, but would they also be candidates for offering tutoring, just like we were going to do for teachers?
Absolutely, yes. Anybody in the campus that wants to, we have no problem. I even have lots of principals that take on small groups and do tutoring.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Point of clarification, we're not in a post-COVID era.
No, that would be probably appropriate, but you know what the intent was. We're now in the classroom.
This is 6C, discuss student support programs. Mr. Macias.
Yes, put this on the agenda for us to discuss. Since we are becoming back from COVID, now that we're in the classroom, I understand that there are stressors, not only for students, but for staff. And so I wanted to kind of understand aggressively what are we doing to address the newness of all this.
Yes, sir. So a couple of things that I would like to discuss and then answer any questions. So we knew that coming back, some of our students have not been in the classroom for a while. For the example, one of the examples that I use is almost like we've had two freshman classes. One is a true freshman, the other one is a sophomore class that has never been in the building, so I consider them freshmen. So with those types of things, we had armed our counselors with new training and resources. Actually, each counselor was given a huge toolkit to be able to provide lessons, counseling sessions, to try to get to the bottom of things, because we strongly believe that when a child acts out, whether it's a fight, a disruption of some kind, there's usually something more in them that's causing for that to happen. So we've armed our counselors with those techniques, those tools to be able to do some sessions. Then we've also added more campuses to our communities and schools programs, to be able to have that. Recently, we also added 2 additional staff members to our police department to help with that. Also added some funds so that Chief Ramon could contract with outside agencies to have more of a law enforcement type preference. Then in meeting with the staff, specifically high school, one of the things that they asked for is to go back to the hall monitors again, to just help them have more visibility, more foot traction in between the hallways. So those are some of the things that we have recently done.
And compared to pre-pandemic, 2019 would have been probably the last clean year. Have we seen increased, student support needs, counseling? Have there been some indicators that say that?
Huge increases.
So give me an example.
Sure. More students needing to see the counselors to talk about issues, more students having social emotional type needs, more parents coming to us, letting us know that their child is seeking outside agencies to help with counseling, where psychiatrists, psychologists, those types of things. So yes, we have seen that.
Have there also been more disciplinary issues like fights on campus?
Yes, sir, there has been.
And is that being addressed as well?
Yes, sir. So again, some of the things that we have done is, again, going back, since teachers and students had not been, truly in the same classroom and in the same campus for a while, going back and talking about the visibility. Sometimes it's simple things as reminding people that you have to be outside your door during passing periods, making sure everybody's on duty on time, making sure that we have more police presence at campus. Our police department is going back now and starting again our lockdowns, our fire drills, all those procedures that we really didn't practice as much last year because we didn't have a very large population of students. We had a huge population virtually, so going back and having all those refreshers.
Well, I'm confident then that at least we're moving in the right direction, and obviously we'll still be looking at this, but those sound quite rational, and I think it's definitely a good start.
Thank you, sir.
Moving on to item 6D, Hall of Honor update and committee member recommendations. I do believe at this time we're going to get an update from Dr. Taganod. Thank you.
Board Advisory Committee this year, and we worked really hard to look at our Hall of Honor program and make some recommendations to make sure that the program really highlighted and honored people that embody the positive image of Jetson ISD and are really worthy to be honored and inducted into the hall. We do have a couple of members of our advisory committee here. We have Ms. Paschal and Ms. King, and I think Ms. Ramirez is back there too. She served on our committee as well, and so I want to personally thank them for their work. I wanted to come up here today just to talk briefly about the updates that we made to the Hall of Honor. In your packet, you should have received a copy of the new criteria, updated criteria, so hopefully you got a chance to look that over. But we did do a lot of work just to make sure that we've streamlined information, and so I wanted to just highlight some of that. So on your screen, you'll see our Jetson Hall of Honor webpage. We are working on creating a logo for our Hall of Honor. This is just one of our drafts, so we are planning to take that back to the committee just to see. We want something to brand the Hall of Honor. So as we're rolling out new criteria, we want to make sure that there's something that really signifies what the hall is, and so that's just one of our drafts that we threw up there to let you know that we are really working to brand the image of this recognition. We do have on our website the new criteria for the Jetson ISD Hall of Honor Recognition Program that you received in your packet. I want to just go over some of the major changes to what it was in the past. We streamlined the criteria to make sure that both the athletic and the civic Hall of Honors looked the same. We had not really a disconnect, but we just had two different looks for the same Hall of Honors. And so the committee worked to say, okay, if the athletic has a rubric, but the civic Hall of Honor does not, we need to streamline that. So we looked at that and we made some pretty distinct changes to it. We made adjustments to those rubrics, and we also incorporated some of Jetson ISD's leadership definition tenets and traits, which include treating people well, leadership, customer service, and positive school culture. So how are these nominees, how are these people who are being nominated, how do they contribute to that positive image of Jetson ISD? So that was a lot of work. We also reworked the application questions. We got a lot of feedback from former committee members who told us that sometimes it was a little bit difficult to really figure out who could be deserving of this honor if the questions weren't geared for the nominator to be able to write and describe how this person has really shown a contribution to society, how they have really impacted our community in Jetson ISD. And so we worked a lot of the application questions as well. Some major changes of the criteria would include automatic entry to the Athletic Hall of Honor for teams who won a state championship. And so that's something that we're going to start enshrining those championships in phases. We also limited the number of inductees to 2 people per hall. And one of the other exciting things that we are introducing is for the selection committee, we are this year including students on the selection committee. So Dr. Ball has established a student advisory council where she's going to meet with students from all of the 4 high schools to get their voice. These students would represent the voice of all students in Jetson ISD. They would advise on things that are important to them as students in their education. And so in our revamping of our criteria, we decided that as student leaders, they need other opportunities to be able to participate and be part of committees to select individuals that really embody that positive and excellent spirit of Jetson ISD. And so these 4 students of the Superintendent's Student Advisory Council will be selected to serve on the selection committee for the Hall of Honor. And so those are just some of the big changes that we made. We did work all year to come up with these solutions to make sure that this program really does justice to what it was intended to be. The last thing that I wanted to just put forth to the board is that there are 3 community members who serve on the selection committee, and every year we ask for the board to submit names of possible community members that would serve on the committee. And so I would just like to ask that if you have somebody in your community that you think would be a good candidate to be on the selections committee, to provide those names to Ms. Betty Holmes by October 8th so that we can get our committee started. We are going to open nominations up tomorrow. So all of the applications will be live, and so we will be reaching out to our committee to also spearhead getting nominations going. So we're looking forward to a big number, a big showing of nominations to our halls.
Any questions? I would just like to say, Dr. Tagnod, as a member of this committee, thank you so much for your leadership and expertise in guiding us through all of the changes that were made. They were great changes. They needed to be made. They were very specific, and I think it's going to be very helpful for those that nominate people for the hall this year. And the other question is there a certain amount of time that those that are serving on the selection committee, is it just 1 year that, and each year we will, as a board, bring you names?
For the community members, it's serving
For the
2
community
years.
members,
2 years,
okay.
ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Does anyone else have any questions or
Thank
comments?
you, Dr. Tagnod, for spearheading and leading this advisory committee. It was an honor being able to be on the committee, being able to learn more about this recognition program. This is my first time on the committee, and it was just very pleasant being able to go to the meetings, being able to learn and communicate with the different members on here. And so I'm just very excited as to what was agreed upon regarding the criteria, and I can't wait to see who those nominees are going to be.
Thank you so much.
So when, just at any time, if board members have someone that they would just send it in to Ms. Holmes?
Yes, please.
With their contact information?
That would be great.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you.
Dr. Tagnod. Item 6F, Policy Update 117 affecting local policies, first reading. Dr. Ball?
Yes, ma'am. All that is, I just wanted to give that information to the board. It's not a formal presentation, just so the board has ample time to review it before next month's meeting.
Okay. G, update on board advisory committees. Do we have any other updates other than the Hall of Honor? None. Okay. And H, update on board trainings, conferences, events, and consideration of future agenda items requested by board members. Why don't we just go around, and I'll start with Mr. Diaz.
So this past weekend, we had MASBA, the Mexican American School Board Association's annual conference here in town. There's a big focus on making sure that trustees understand and can effectively advocate for accurate descriptions and of historical texts to ensure that we provide the appropriate visibility to people of different backgrounds and ensure that we can provide educators the flexibility, the freedom for them to use their professional and educator lens to guide critical conversations. And unfortunately, these conversations aren't always easy. They're not always pleasant. But if done so in a respectful, professional manner that is age appropriate and context appropriate, it can be a wonderful tool to be able to understand history and then make the effective pivots and changes and change in mindset needed to, grow as better, provide students a better opportunity to grow as better citizens. So that was a big focus of that conference. Obviously, there were a number of different topics and sessions. However, I think that was a kind of a wonderful approach to it. Then obviously we've had our conferences, and then is it just the ones that we're a part of as well?
Anything that you have been a part of?
So I also served as a national panelist for the Learn from History Coalition. So again, a coalition, a broad spectrum of advocates from across political parties, positions, private, public sector, parents, guardians, again, to call for a moderate conversation that is constructive in nature on how to approach critical conversations. So that coalition is engaging parents and activating them to be better stewards of their own educational their students' pathways, but more importantly, support educators in ensuring that politicians don't infringe upon their professional approach to educating students. So I think it was a really nice conversation to have. There are a number of folks from across the country that are engaging in this. And again, at the core of it is building better citizens in our children and our young scholars, but then also recognizing that politics should be left out of the classroom and provide educators the freedom, the respect needed to have them engage in age-appropriate, context-appropriate conversations as they see fit. So that was a really nice conversation as well. And I'm very humbled to be a panelist for that conversation as a trustee, but more importantly as a parent. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, very good.
Can I ask a quick question of Mr. Diaz?
Sure.
I think you'll be able to answer, or maybe it's a request if you don't know the answer right now. So when you're talking about the push around giving trustees the language to advocate for historical education, is there a list of talking points that you could share with other trustees that are not part of MASBA? Or is that a request you could make of them to create that resource?
Absolutely. And we can get those from MASBA, we can get those from Learn from History Coalition, and then we can get those from the School Board Partners Fellowship as well. And there are a number of other resources, and again, all of them centered on providing better educational pathways to learners while respecting the profession of teachers and educators, and also, lifting up our own cultural wealth, right? And ensuring that nobody feels left out of the conversation, everybody's visible, but we can do so in a meaningful way. So, yeah, I can get those. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Diaz.
Thank you for the easy question.
Mr. Macias, and you too are a member of MASBA.
Yes, and I had the opportunity to attend the conference. It's a great opportunity to meet with colleagues. I was also very happy to greet them on their visit to Wagner High School to look at our CTE programs and look at our campuses, and nothing but compliments about the work that we're doing here at Wagner and at Jetson ISD. So it was a very proud moment, and thank you, Dr. Ball, for facilitating it. I think the colleagues that attended couldn't get that wonderful feeling out of their mind, and we're really appreciative of what we showed them. And to continue with Trustee Diaz was talking about, the conversations also centered on getting our minority students to grade level. And there was a real discussion about taking a state that is predominantly minority, black and brown, and ensuring that there is equity in education and grade level attainment throughout the state, because as it grows as a minority segment, which it already is, they have to be prepared for career and college readiness. So there's a brain trust there of figuring out what that needs to look like to propel the next generation to that next level. So again, a fascinating place to be. It reminds me of a lot of NALEO, which I'm also a member of that organization as well. But it ultimately will help Jetson, and that's what's important. So, and I have, is this the agenda item one as well?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
You wanted to put an item on the agenda for October?
I will. I want to fill out that form, but
Yes, sir.
I'll come back with that. But there'll be a couple. Thank you.
All righty. Ms. Canoyer?
Thank you. I just want to highlight the ceremony that was held Friday morning to honor Karen Wagner at Wagner High School. And I want to commend the faculty and staff, and particularly the ROTC of Wagner High School, in their lovely commemorative ceremony that they had. It's very meaningful and very touching, and it was definitely a source of pride to be there and see how the students at the school are honoring their namesake. So I just wanted to commend that.
Thank
And I'll be attending TASA TASB next week.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
hopefully we'll have a wonderful report.
Yes.
And then I would like to highlight one other accomplishment that Trustee Diaz did not mention, but that was his appointment to the MASBA Board of Directors, and I want to congratulate you on that, sir.
Thank you.
Ms. Rodriguez?
I too will be attending the TASA TASB conference. I will be majority participating in the programming around leadership TASB during that time. So, but we'll sneak away for the general session on Friday afternoon. And I'm also going to be attending on Monday the Bexar County Coalition presentation about that Mr. Blount talked to us about.
Thank you. I'm glad you
Yeah,
did.
it's over Zoom, so I
Yes,
can
it
do
is.
it during my work day. I'm excited about that that presentation, and wanted to add my congratulations to Mr. Diaz for his appointment to the Board of Directors for MASBA.
Thank you. Mr. Blount has been reminding us several times of that.
It took like 3 reminders for me to remember to
Yes.
RSVP, even though I had always intended on going.
Right.
So,
Ms. Eaton?
Congratulations, Mr. Diaz. Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Macias, for going to Wagner for that group to tour our school. That's awesome. I have nothing else.
Okay. And Ms. King?
Well, I too will be going to TASA conference next week, and that's about it.
And so will I. So if there's nothing else, then yes.
I did leave one item off that I want to highlight also.
Okay, go right
I'm
ahead.
sorry, I don't want to hog the mic, but I do want to let staff know and everyone know that I'll be attending the summer graduation ceremony that we're going to have Monday evening
very good.
for our students who completed, and so I want to be there to congratulate those students
Yes.
as well. So I'll be there Monday evening, which is why I won't be attending the function that Ms. Rodriguez highlighted, that Bexar
it's
County
actually in the
Coalition.
middle
It's
of
in
the
the
day.
middle of the day.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll go
it's by
look again. I
Zoom.
thought it was evening. My apologies.
Yeah. And if you didn't get that email, I'll send it to you. Okay. Yes, and I too will be attending that summer graduation. I might be a little bit late, so Ms. Canoyer is going to give that address. And I also will be attending TASA TASB conference. Okay. At this time, the time is 8:23. We will go into closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.072, deliberation regarding the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. Item B, pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.074, discussing personnel, the personnel report, and updates including new hires, resignations, and administrative appointments. And C, pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071, attorney consultation regarding legal issues related to potential, anticipated, or pending construction litigation and construction issues. Again, it is 8:24. Seconded. Motion has been made and seconded. Mr. Diaz, we'll start with you in voting.
Rafael Diaz, aye.
Mr. Macias?
Yes.
Ms. Canoyer?
Suzanne Canoyer, aye.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Jennifer Rodriguez, aye.
Ms. Eaton?
Deborah Eaton, aye.
Ms. Canoyer, excuse me, Ms. King?
Shatanya King, aye.
Renee Pichelle, aye. Motion passes unanimously. And item 8B, consider and take possible action regarding the personnel report and updates including new hires, resignations, and administrative appointments. Is there a motion for this item?
I move we approve the personnel report as presented.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. We'll start with Ms. King. Ms. King, what is your vote?
Tanya King, aye.
Ms. Eaton?
Deborah Eaton, aye.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Jennifer Rodriguez, aye.
Ms. Canoyer?
Suzanne Canoyer, aye.
Mr. Macias?
Yes.
Mr. Diaz?
Rafael Diaz, aye.
Renee Pichelle, aye. Motion passes unanimously, and there will be no action taken on anything else. So at 8:47, this meeting is adjourned. Everyone have a good night.